Hello everybody, I'm back with another Ben 10 action figure review. So today's video I will be going over Crashhopper, Kickin Hawk, Toepick, and Astrodactyl. So let's get started with Crashhopper. So here we have Crashhopper. Let's take a look at his articulation. The head does go all the way around 360. Just like most of the normal figurines, goes all the way around. But his head actually has a little bit of extra articulation that we don't usually see. It can go up and down. You can see like he's nodding his head up and down. It doesn't move a lot, but he does have that little bit of movement there. So it's a nice extra touch of articulation that we don't usually see. The arms go 360 all the way around at the shoulder, but that's it for the arm. There's nothing in the elbow. It's just one solid piece for the arms. And then the hips do go all the way around also. You kind of have to push it a little bit once you get up to this arm right here, but they do go all the way around. And then he does have a knee joint here, so his knees are already just kind of bent, as is just the way his body is and the way he stands. His knees are always bent, but they do have some extra articulation here, so you can move it forward, like, you know, if you want him to be in a kicking pose or, you know, something like that. His knee joint can go forward and backward. And then that's it for the legs. Nothing else down here in the ankle or anything, which is pretty typical. So he does kind of lack in the elbow articulation, but he does have that extra head articulation. So not too bad. Pretty standard articulation for the most part. The paint and detailing on him looks really good. I like the job they did with this figurine. It looks really good. The only small complaint I have is this joint right here. They didn't paint that in for some reason. So this like hinge part at his knee, you can see obviously that's not the same green color as the rest of his body. So they got a little lazy with that, but otherwise, I mean, and that's a small complaint, it's nothing huge. You really can't even see it when he's standing straight forward or anything. But otherwise, this figurine looks really good. I'll give you a close-up on his face here. You can see all the lines and detailing they put into his face. Looks really good. Even his teeth are sculpted. All these lines on his head and his chin and everything look really good. The back of the head is just as well. He's got these bumps and everything sculpted really nicely. You can see on his back. They painted his outfit really good. The Omnitrix symbol looks good. You can see even some more line detailing here on his chest. They got the spikes on his arms and his legs, and his 3 little fingers on each hand. And this piece right here, just like webbing kind of thing in between his legs, looks really good. You can see the sculpting on that. He's got some big old feet, and they did those really well too, with these giant claws and everything. This is a really good looking figurine. I don't think they did too bad of a job. Like I said, the only complaint I have is that little paint issue right there, but not a huge complaint. So a really good looking figurine overall. Next one I'm going to bring up here is Kickin Hawk. So here is Kickin Hawk next to Crashhopper. Not too bad. Scaling there doesn't look too bad. And here we have Kickin Hawk. This is probably one of my favorite aliens from Omniverse, just because of how funny his concept is. Like, he's just a giant muscular chicken that can, you know, fight kung fu and martial arts and that kind of stuff. Like, just the concept of him is pretty funny, and I like him. But let's get going on the articulation here. He does have the 360 head swivel, can go all the way around. Even though he doesn't have much of a neck there, they did give that head articulation. His arms go all the way around at the shoulder. And then he does have elbow articulation. You can see that moves up a little bit. It doesn't move back a whole lot, but it does go up. And then he actually has this like swivel kind of thing here. It's not quite at the wrist, it's like on the forearm. He's got this swivel so you can actually move the hands a bit, which I don't think we've seen on any other figurine so far in all these reviews. It gives a little bit of extra possibilities for posing with, you know, articulation and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty nice to see, and that is on both arms. The legs, they go really far back. They've got some good articulation here at the hip, go pretty far forward, which is really good for a character like this because, you know, he's a big fighter and pretty agile and stuff like that, so you can pose him pretty decently. He's got the knee articulation, so that goes up and down. And then once again we have this swivel here at the legs. I mean, this is probably the most articulation we've seen in a figurine just because of the way they did the arms and the legs. But that can go all the way around, so again, gives you a bit of a few extra options for some posing. Nothing in the ankles though, just right here, kind of like on the shin. But yeah, pretty good articulation for this guy. Gives you a lot of options for putting him in some fighting poses. And then as for the detailing on this guy, it looks really good. Everything on here is just sculpted so nicely. Even the little feathers on his shoulder, you know, little feathers on his chest. You can see his face looks really good. Got his beak sculpted nicely and his little mask thing. His crest of feathers up here. His muscles all look nice, and they've got this chest piece done really well. And then even the lines on his arms and the claws, lines on his legs, everything on here looks really good. I'm pretty happy with this figurine overall. These huge spikes on his elbow, those look awesome. So yeah, this, like I said, is probably one of my favorite aliens that Ben gained in Omniverse, and I'm super happy with this figurine. I think they did a really good job. I don't think I have a single complaint with this guy, especially with the additional articulation he got and just the great job they did on the sculpt. Really good figurine to add to your collection. So I will put him up here next to Toepick. Scale on this, I thought, you know, I remember Toepick being a bit taller. I know he wasn't like, you know, average height or anything. He was a bit on the shorter side, but I think he was a bit taller than this. But again, scaling isn't always perfect with these Omniverse figurines. So let's move on to Toepick. One of the strangest aliens, definitely. It was cool to see him in Omniverse because they mentioned him in the original series when they traveled to the future, so it was pretty cool to finally see him in Omniverse. No head articulation, which you know, it's not really a surprise, so you can't be disappointed. There's not really, you know, much of a way that you could move this just because of these like bracket things that are holding his head in place. I don't think he probably in the show has much for neck movement either. I can't imagine moving my neck or my head too much if I'm wearing something like this. So lack of head articulation isn't a big deal with this figurine. The arms though, they do go all the way around at the shoulder, and then they do have kind of a swivel thing like we just saw with Kickin Hawk here in the mid arm. So instead of your typical elbow joint, he's kind of got this swivel thing here, which is better than nothing, so can't complain there. And then his legs, his stubby little legs, have the swivel here at the, if you want to call that his hip. they're just too small to really have any other articulation. You're not going to see anything in the knee or the ankle with legs this small and stubby. And the one extra articulation he has is you can actually turn him at the waist. I don't know if they added that because he was kind of lacking in articulation throughout the rest of his body, so they're like, hey, we'll throw in this waist swivel. But he can move all the way around 360 at the waist. And then once again, I just think they hit it out of the park with the sculpting and detailing on this guy. These Omniverse figurines, they do a really good job with them. You can see all these bumps and weird little things on his body. His belly button sculpted. He's even got the little swirl on his knee. His toes look good. All these chains on his body. And then the mask looks really good. You can even see, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but he's got some stuff going on inside the mask there, just like a hint of a face. Really can't tell what it is. It's just a bunch of jumbled up stuff. Maybe you can almost see like maybe an eye or something, but they did add that extra sculpting and detailing bit behind the mask. The mask does not open or anything. It is one solid piece here. You can see his horns sticking out. Toepick is just one of those figurines that you're almost surprised that they even made him. Like, he had just a couple appearances, and when you look at other aliens that appeared more frequently than that, like Ditto or Eye Guy, it's kind of surprising that they made this guy but not them. But I'm glad that they did. It's pretty cool that they did. I just think they did such a good job on that helmet. And you got the chain in the back here, and his like bolted belt around his waist. Very good looking figurine. And then for the last figurine of this review, Astrodactyl. So scaling here doesn't look too bad. I think Astrodactyl's probably a bit too short. I think he in the show was more of an average height, kind of closer to Ben's actual height, so he's a bit short here. But yeah, let's move on to Astrodactyl's articulation. He's got the 360 head swivel here, goes all the way around, and then he also has some head movement there that goes up and down like he's nodding. Nothing else in the neck though, like the neck where it connects to the torso does not move or anything. This is one solid piece here. His arms, they can go all the way around, but you basically have to remove the wings to do so. So let me do that. These wings just pop in and out. So to move the arms all the way around, you have to remove the wing. Then he's got the elbow articulation, and then nothing else in the arms. He does have hip articulation, goes back and it goes forward, goes back quite a bit more than it goes forward. Then he does have knee joints that goes up and down, and then that's it for articulation on this guy, nothing else there. I'm gonna get this wing back on. I guess technically you could say that the wings are articulated because this is just like on a ball joint in here, so they kind of like, you can turn them that way, you can turn them a bit back and forth like this, but for the most part you can just kind of move them like this on a swivel. So I guess you could include that as articulation. And then paint and detailing on this guy, once again, really good. I don't think I have any complaints here with him. I think that's just a scuff from wear and tear, not anything to do with the manufacturer paint job. I guess one complaint I might have is that these wings pop out really easily. Like, they're not much holding them in. You can see that hole there. It's just this like ball joint. There's not a whole lot holding them in. They come out really easily. So if you're buying this guy secondhand from eBay or anything, make sure you got these wings. His face looks really good. They sculpted the beak and everything very nicely. His arms, you can see his, you know, where the laser whips come out of on his arms there. His feet and legs and everything looks really good. They got all this line detailing. You see the back of the wings with the jetpack part here, and the jetpack does not come off it, which I don't think it did in the show either, so that makes sense. The Omnitrix symbol on his shoulder. So yeah, once again, another good looking Omniverse figurine. It would have been nice if he came with like a laser whip accessory or something like that, because that was a big part of his character and his abilities, but as far as I remember, he did not come with anything like that. So that's it for Astrodactyl, and that is it for this review video. Let me get everybody back up here. Alright, that concludes another one of my Ben 10 action figure reviews. My next couple videos will be a little different, just because I'm only reviewing one figurine in each video. My next review will be for Bullfrag. I'm doing him by himself because I have one of like two versions of him, basically. One of him in the box and one of him out of the box. He's a super rare figurine in terms of Ben 10 collecting, so I'm kind of just giving him his own video. And then the next one after that will be Atomics, which, if you remember a long time ago in my very first video, when I showed my whole collection, I pointed out that Atomics figurine that is really just like a bootleg cake topper. Like it's not actually supposed to be a figurine, or it's not an official figurine released by Cartoon Network or Bandai or whatever, anything like that. So it was just something that I bought as a bootleg and then kind of painted up and added into my collection because it fits really well with the other figurines. You can't even tell that he's not supposed to be there. So I'm giving him his own review just because he's kind of a special case too. So the next two videos will be just a single figurine in each video. So keep an eye out for those. I'm excited for those videos. They should be on my channel in about a week. And again, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later.